Today's question is, should I be receiving more than $300 per month in child support if my ex-husband or ex-wife makes $1,200 per week? Now, each jurisdiction has different child support laws and rules, but I can answer this question in the context of Utah law because I practice divorce and family law in that state. Your question is, how do I know if I am receiving the correct amount of child support or the fair amount of child support from the child support obligor parent? Obligor means the person who is obligated to do something. In this case, paying child support to the child support recipient, who is also known as the child support obligee. In the past, Utah's law left how child support was calculated to what the parties and/or the court felt was appropriate. As you can imagine, however, leaving something so contentious as child support so wide open led to a tremendous amount of child support litigation. In response, the Utah State Legislature created a presumptive statutory formula for calculating child support to reduce the amount of different ways of looking at it and fighting over it. Now let me walk you through what the statutory guidelines for child support calculation in Utah are and how they apply. I've provided in the description section of this video links to the code sections that I cite. Section 78B-12-210 of the Utah Code, entitled Application of Guidelines, Use of Ordered Child Support, is a provision that says, for the average family and their children, the guidelines apply as a rebuttable presumption in establishing or modifying the amount of temporary or permanent child support. That means the amount of child support award resulting from application of the guidelines and the use of worksheets consistent with those guidelines are presumed to be correct and binding upon the parents. This presumption can be rebutted, and child support awards can be lower than what the guidelines provide, but only where the court is convinced that use of the guidelines would be unjust, inappropriate, or not in the best interest of a child in a particular case. Deviating downward from the guidelines rarely occurs, but it can. Utah Code Section 78B-12-205 is entitled Calculation of Obligations, and it provides that except for parents whose monthly adjusted gross incomes are $1,050 per month or less, each parent's child support obligation is established in proportion to their adjusted gross incomes. So what is adjusted gross income, you may ask? Well, according to 78B-12-204 of the Utah Code, it's the amount calculated by subtracting from gross income alimony previously ordered and paid and child support previously ordered. Not alimony or child support for your spouse or kids in this particular case. The guidelines do not reduce the child support amount by adjusting the gross incomes of the parents for alimony ordered in the pending proceeding either. In establishing alimony, therefore, the guidelines do not provide for your alimony obligation to be deducted from your gross income. So if you are not paying alimony or child support to a previous spouse, as opposed to your current spouse, or to children in addition to the ones who are the subject of your current child support case, your child support obligation will be calculated based upon your gross monthly income. Gross monthly income means before tax income. Some people get angry when they hear that child support is based upon gross before tax income. But remember, the statutory guidelines don't treat you as though you don't pay taxes. The child support calculation formula takes the fact that you have to pay taxes into account when it calculates child support. So if your ex-husband makes $1,200 per week gross, then that means he earns $5,200 per month. Child support is based upon both what your husband earns and what you earn. There is a child support calculator provided by the state of Utah free of charge. I've included a link to that calculator in the description section of this video too. Here is how filling out the child support worksheet works. You need to know how much both you and your ex-husband's gross income are. You need to know how many minor children will be included in the child support calculation, and you need to know how many overnights the minor children spend with each parent. So assume for our purposes that your ex-husband's gross monthly income is $5,400 per month. Now let's also look at your income. Okay, it would be almost impossible to calculate child support as anything less than $1,257 of gross income per month. Why is that? Well, $1,257 per month would be the equivalent of earning minimum wage on a full-time 40-hour per week basis. So even if you are unemployed currently, you cannot have an income be less than $1,257 per month because it's assumed that anyone can earn minimum wage working on a full-time basis who is not subject to a disability. Now let's assume that you have the children in your custody 220 overnights annually and your husband has them 145 overnights annually. Now we have all the information we need to fill out the child support calculator. So we'll fill that in now in the appropriate blanks. Then what you do when you're finished is you click the Continue button to generate the child support worksheet. As you can see, your ex-husband's child support obligation for 3 minor children, which we're using in this case, would be this much per month. As you can see, the child support calculator is pretty clear and straightforward, and now you know the basics of how child support is calculated, so you can figure out for yourself what child support would be or will be in a case by following the instructions on the child support worksheet calculator. You can even calculate different scenarios to find out what child support would be, depending upon differences in income and in the number of overnights each parent spends with the children on an annual basis.